Welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving straight into something that is deeply personal, incredibly emotional, and ultimately just wonderfully triumphant. We're going to unpack the story of Dr. Leah. She's this deeply dedicated dermatologist who had a profound dream, which was to take her hard-earned medical expertise and chase a brand new life in Australia. But, as anyone who's ever looked into migrating as a medical professional knows, the gap between having that dream and actually living it can feel as wide as an ocean. This isn't just another story about doing paperwork. It is a story about human vulnerability, the intense pressure of global recognition, and ultimately finding the exact right hand to hold when the path gets dark. There is this quiet, almost painful honesty in Dr. Leah's words. She said, "For years, I kept asking myself, will my work here ever be recognized out there?" Just imagine being in her shoes for a second. You've studied for years. You are a highly respected dermatologist in India. You absolutely know your craft inside and out. And yet, the very moment you look beyond your borders toward Australia, this universally human insecurity just creeps right in. It's that heavy, lingering question. Will they actually see my worth? Will my years of grueling training translate? Or am I going to be starting from zero? It's a deeply reflective, vulnerable space to be in. And frankly, it's the exact same hurdle every single specialist doctor faces before they even fill out their first form. Chapter 1. The Dream and the Doubt. Every great journey starts with a heavy weight, right? And for Dr. Leah, that weight was a profound sense of self-doubt, standing right smack in the way of her Australian dream, the fear of getting it wrong. You see, when you're an established specialist, you're used to having the answers. You're completely confident in your clinic. But the sheer prospect of migrating strips all that armor away. Dr. Leah was terrified of making a critical mistake. And you can't blame her, because the stakes are just incredibly high. One wrong box checked, one misunderstood requirement, and the dream you've held onto for years could literally just vanish. It's an isolating, paralyzing fear. You're no longer just a doctor. Suddenly you have to be a legal and immigration expert overnight. And the fear of failure in that totally unknown arena is staggering. Which brings us to our next phase, navigating the maze. The Australian specialist pathway. Wow. As Dr. Leah described it, it truly, literally felt like a maze. Just imagine sitting at your desk after a 12-hour shift at the hospital, opening your laptop, and being met with an overwhelming avalanche of documents. The requirements are endlessly complex. They just seem unending. She looked at this mountain of paperwork and honestly didn't even know where to begin. It's incredibly relatable, isn't it? I mean, the sheer volume of what's required to prove your worth to a foreign medical board is enough to make anyone want to just close their laptop and give up. The struggle here is real. It feels like the pathway is designed to test not just your medical knowledge, but your absolute limits of human endurance. But then, a turning point. Finding the guide. There is a stark contrast here. On one side, we have the total nightmare we just talked about, trying to do it alone, lost in that bureaucratic maze, carrying all that anxiety and that crushing fear of getting it wrong. But then, she reached out for help. With 360 Medicare, she found end-to-end specialist assessment support. And suddenly, that isolated anxiety is replaced by absolute security. She went from wandering blindly in a maze to walking alongside an expert guide who already held the map. She described this shift so perfectly. She said, "They didn't just guide me, they carried the entire process." Now, that is a massive shift. The relief she felt was palpable, like an actual physical weight easing right off her chest. 360 Medicare didn't just point her in the right direction and say, "Hey, good luck out there." No, they handled every form, every single microscopic detail, and every step of the journey. They became a true lifeline. The entire bureaucratic burden was completely removed from Dr. Leah's shoulders so she could just breathe and focus on being the brilliant dermatologist she is. And all of that leads us to the life-changing letter. All of that guidance, all of that immense trust, leads us to the emotional climax of our story. This is what everything was building toward. The result? Partial comparability. When Dr. Leah opened that assessment letter, she was completely overcome. Picture her, eyes a little glassy, reading this exact line over and over again, her voice trembling with genuine, overwhelming joy. It was the absolute emotional peak of years of dreaming and doubting. The letter had finally come. But what does partially comparable actually mean in the real world? Let's break down this definition. It means she is recognized as a specialist in Australia. This is it. This is the profound validation she had been seeking when she first asked if her work would ever be recognized out there. The answer was a resounding yes. The Australian medical authorities looked at her years of grueling study, her practice in India, her unwavering dedication to her patients, and they officially respected and recognized it on a global stage. The relief, the triumph, the pure, raw emotion of knowing that your life's work actually matters in the place you dream of calling home, that is exactly what this status represents.
So let's talk about your journey to Australia.
Because Dr. Leah's triumphant emotional payoff, that doesn't just have to be her story. If you're a specialist doctor watching this, looking at the Sydney skyline in your own dreams, this could absolutely be your story too. But it brings up a really provocative question you have to ask yourself right now. Will you try to do this alone? You've seen the maze. You know about the overwhelming documents, the complex requirements, and that deeply isolating fear of getting it wrong that Dr. Leah experienced at the very beginning. You do not have to face that daunting reality by yourself. You just don't have to carry that weight alone.
Instead, take Dr. Leah's advice. Let 360 Medicare walk you there. Let them carry the process the exact same way they walked with her. If you want to take that first guided step toward your own tearful joy of success, reach out. You can DM them to check your eligibility, call their UK or UAE offices, or visit 360medicare.com. So I'll leave you with this. Why on earth would you wander the maze alone when your guide is already waiting? Take the step. Your own life-changing letter might be a lot closer than you think.